loves, it's Sam. I had one of my subscribers asking me to do a breastfeeding tips video. I always wanted to breastfeed. My mom breastfed all of me and my brother and my sister. You know, it's great for the baby, it's great nutrition, it's free. I mean, you don't have to worry about buying formula. Formula is very expensive. You don't have to worry about getting up and going and grabbing a bottle or making a bottle. Honestly, I've never made formula in my life. I don't even know how to. I know it's probably so simple, but I would be so confused. I would be like, what do I even do? I mean, I honestly have no idea how to make it. So for me, it's just so convenient. You don't have to worry about cooling or warming or anything like that, or mixing. You just pull your boob out. It's just so great for the baby. So in the beginning, it is a little painful. It's nothing crazy. I remember people telling me crazy stories like, it's the worst pain of your life. For a solid month, you're gonna be in agony every time they latch. It's so painful, blah, blah. And I was like, I was expecting it to be the worst thing ever. I was so nervous. And honestly, it's not bad at all. The first few times, I wouldn't say it necessarily hurts. It's more frustrating because you have no idea what you're doing. You've just had a baby. You've never even held, well, at least I had never even held like a newborn before. I didn't know where to put Phoenix's head. I didn't know how to hold his neck. I just didn't know anything. Like, I was seriously, and I didn't have my mom to help me. I had nobody's help other than the nurses in the hospital, because it was just me and Jay when I had Phoenix. My dad and Shelly weren't around. Like, nobody was around to help me. So I literally had to learn everything myself. So just with the help from the nurse. So I literally had this lady like squeezing my nipple, like, no, no, no. And apparently like my boobs were a little bit harder to latch onto because I didn't have like a super duper pokey outy nipple. Don't worry, that changes once you've been nursing for years. It'll look like an eraser soon enough. So don't worry if that's your problem. The first child is definitely the hardest because you just don't know what you're doing. I think it took like, I don't know, probably a day or two to figure out like even kind of how to hold him, how to position his head, etc, etc. If you have, most of the time, I think all of the time, they will have a breastfeeding specialist at the hospital. So ask for them to help you. Do not be afraid to ask for help, because this is the most important thing. This is your child that you're feeding. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll get frustrated. You'll end up getting super, super like stressed out about it, and it won't be a good experience, and you'll end up giving up. I told Jay when I was pregnant with Phoenix, make sure, don't let me give up. Just don't let me give up. I don't care how much I say it hurts or how frustrated I am or whatever, don't let me give up. So the first few days are definitely they're trying. They definitely test your patience because the baby doesn't know really how to latch very well, or at least Phoenix didn't. You don't know how to hold your boob. You don't know how to position it. For me, the position that I used the most for him was a football hold. You hold your baby, like the head is here, and you've got, you're holding them kind of close to you, and then you have their head right here. For me, it was much easier to position his head so that my boobs was right in his mouth. It's difficult when you have such big boobs, I feel sometimes, because mine are real big, and they got crazy full, like it was ridiculous. And so for me, it was an awkward position to have his head because my boobs were so big that my nipple was slightly lower than it should be. So it was difficult. And I don't know what it's like to have small boobs breastfeeding, so maybe I have no idea. But for me, that was the hardest position to do, was holding him like this. So I found the football hold to be, is that what it's called, the football hold? I don't know. The one where you're holding them like this was easier for me with Phoenix. I remember taking him home, and I definitely, I thought that I had it at the hospital. I was like, cool beans, I got this. And then you get home and it's like a whole nother thing, and you're by yourself and you're like, oh, what am I doing? The key is to not let yourself get stressed and not give up. Sometimes I would squeeze out the milk a little bit first, and kind of, you can rub it on their lip. And that really helps, because then they're like, oh, what's this? This is quite nice. And then they'll want to do it. They'll realize where it is, or kind of, you've got to like guide them to your boob. Sometimes they're not quite sure what's going on. Another great thing that really, really worked was the nipple shield, and you can get them at Target or Babies R Us, and they're basically just a clear nipple shield, and I don't know where mine is. I was looking for it, but I couldn't find it. And that's really great if you're someone like, for me in the beginning, my nipples just weren't kind of pokey outy enough. I'm sorry, I'm getting really graphic, but it's talking about boob. Basically what it does is it protects you. So if your nipples are getting really sore at first, which mine didn't at first, it was fine. There was a time later on that they got really sore. Nipple shields are amazing because if you are someone who does have kind of a softer nipple or it's not going to poke out and they can't latch very well, that helps. Also, if you get a clogged duct and it's like crazy hard, your boob will explode. It's so big. I mean, it literally just gets like a big rock. You'll see the milk ducts and they're like rivers of milk. It's crazy. And they do get very, very sore when your milk comes in. The shield is another really great tool to use because my nipples, he couldn't even latch because it was so hard that like literally there was like this much nipple to suck onto, and you couldn't even like squeeze. It wasn't even squeezable or anything because I had so much milk that it was literally like a big ball of rock and you couldn't do anything to it. So the shield was great because then I could kind of create my nipple and then he could get milk out and then relieve that milk and that kind of pressure of so much milk being in there. I produce crazy milk, like ridiculous amounts. I will take off my bra and it will squirt across the room. That's how much milk I have. More so with Phoenix. I didn't have so much with Lily, but I still create a really good amount. If you get a clogged duct, here's what you can use. Get a sock, just a regular old men's sock, fill it with rice, tie it off, and then just put it in the microwave for like, I think it's like 30 seconds and then another 30 seconds until it's like warm. You don't want to scald you, but you want it to be warm enough. And what I would do is just wherever I had a clogged duct is basically when your milk, one of your ducts, it won't come out, it gets clogged, and then you'll get like a red rash and you'll see the lump in your boob and it will be crazy hard and kind of sticking out and it hurts, it gets painful. So what you can do is put that sock on wherever the clogged duct is, whether it's on the side or on the top. Usually I got mine on the top, and you can just put that on there and keep it on there for basically as much as you can stand, but it definitely will help. You can also, everyone always used to tell me to stand in a hot shower and kind of push out the milk, and honestly I felt like it just created more milk for me. I don't know, it just didn't work for me, so the sock is the only thing that really worked. And then basically just keep on nursing like normal. I don't recommend keeping on nursing from that side because then this one will end up having an issue. This one, it would just create more milk because I tried that and it would just keep on creating because it thought it had to, and then I would end up just keep on having, you know, crazy milk, and it would just get so big and there was so much pressure. So I recommend just putting a sock on it and then just keep on breastfeeding like you would normally. Your own milk has got so many great things in it that it can really help like heal so much. So I, most of the time, would just squirt some in my hand and rub it on my boob, and it literally would be fine. I never really had to worry about dry crap because I just used my own milk. Also, slight tip, if you have any kind of rashes. I got a super weird rash after Lily on my stomach. I don't even know what it was or what it came from, but it was these red itchy bumps and it was like super itchy. It lasted forever, and I kept on putting cortisone and anti-itch cream and all of this stuff on it, and it lasted for so long. And then literally I watched Kim Kardashian putting her sister's milk on her leg for psoriasis, and I was like, I'm gonna try that. So I put some of my milk on my rash, and the next morning it was like almost gone. So if you guys have any rashes, or if your baby has a rash, just squirt some milk into the rash or onto the rash and apply it. Obviously make sure your hands are clean. I definitely recommend getting a nursing cover. It's stressful when you first have a baby and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm out and about and I need to nurse my baby. I remember one time I actually put a blanket over in my entire head and body and nursed Phoenix in the car because I didn't know how to use my shield or my, whatever this thing is called. So I got mine from Udder Covers, I believe, I think. Gosh, I don't even know who's it by. And you basically just put it over your head like this, Mine is honestly not the best. There's better ones that they stick out a little bit more. But basically you're just going to put one side over your shoulder, whatever side you're holding your baby. And then just what I would do, hold the baby, or put your cover on first, and then put your baby underneath. And then I would just peek through this little area, get yourself sorted, positioned, let them latch, and then you can let it lay down and just kind of like, they're nice and thin, so obviously you're not going to suffocate your baby underneath there. And it's nice because then you can go anywhere you want to go. You don't feel like you have to stay inside of your house because you're constantly breastfeeding. I had a baby breastfeeding tracker which I used, and I will find the app on my phone. I don't use it anymore because now I just have to feel which boob is flubbery and which boob is not so flubbery, Which boob looks and feels a little nicer than the other is usually the one that I need to nurse from. The other one will just feel like a pancake. So this is the one that I use, and I don't know if you guys are going to be able to, oh cruddy. It is called the Baby Feeding Log. So if you just go into the App Store, it's free and it just says Baby Feeding Log. And it looks like this, and basically it has your left, your right bottle. I never used a bottle, so for me it was either left or right. And then it has your diapers, so you can keep track of how many soiled or wet diapers you have. So if you press diaper, it'll say wet, dirty, or both. So you can press whichever one it is, and then you'll know. It's important to keep track of their diapers because when you go to the doctor, they'll ask you, how many wet diapers are they having, how many soil or how many dirt or soiled, dirty poo diapers are they having. You want to make sure that you're keeping track to make sure that they're getting enough milk and to make sure that everything is going okay. And so then you can do sleep. So when they fall asleep, you can press that they're sleeping and it'll say last feeding, whatever. And so it's nice because it keeps track of, which boob you're on. You can stop the sleep, and then when you start feeding, switch it to whichever one you're on, press start, and then it'll show you exactly how long they fed for, which boob you left off on, and how much sleep they got. It's very important to keep track of that stuff. The feedings, you can go to here and it'll have a list, and then of course the sleep, it'll say how, what they've slept, because it's nice to know. You can kind of build your routine that way, and just keep track of what you're doing and what's going on with your baby. That way it just is easier. And also, like, sometimes when you get so much milk, you're like, you forget which boob you're on, and then you can't feel because they both feel so hard and full that you're like, you really do forget, especially when you're nursing. When you first have your baby, you will probably be feeding them every 2 hours, at least for both of my kids. Sometimes it was every hour, which can be exhausting, but it's worth it in the end. Don't give up. Don't get frustrated. They're hungry little things. They need to eat. So, but most of the time it's like every 2 hours. And that's all through the night, all through the day. If you're wanting to sleep, just don't have a baby. It's quite simple. They are going to take up your time. They are going to take up your energy. It's totally worth it. Don't worry. You will get sleep one day, okay? You have all of your life to sleep. So get some sleep while you can. Oh, the pads. The breastfeeding or the leaking pads. I got a bunch. Honestly, I used them like a few times and they used to annoy me. They'd slide around in my bra. Every time you have to nurse, you have to stick in a new pad, and I just found it to be annoying. So what I did was just get a nursing bra. I'm not wearing it today. I will put the link in the down bar. They're from Motherhood. They're just called like the Motherhood Nursing Sports Bra. So comfortable. If you're someone who has large boobs like I do, mine are like an F or something ridiculous like that. I don't fit into double Ds, so whatever the next one is from an F or a double D. I think it's E, F, G, Z, I don't know. My boobs are really big, they're really, really saggy, and it is very uncomfortable to wear a wired bra, and especially when you're nursing, you don't want to be wearing it. It'll dig into you. It's just uncomfortable. Don't do it. I do highly recommend sleeping with a bra on at all times, especially in the beginning, because your boobs will be so full of milk. You'll end up squirting so much milk in your bed that when you wake up, it'll be a huge wet patch. I did that so many times, and I was like, you know what, this is just gross. I am not going to be waking up all wet, and it leaves a funny little yellow stain on your sheets. So wear a bra, and it also helps to prevent sagging. With Phoenix, I stopped wearing a bra like pretty soon, and my boobs are so saggy now, and I'll never get that back. They'll never be upright again unless I have surgery. Wear your sports bra at all times. Don't wear something that's uncomfortable, guys. It's just gonna make your life miserable. Get something that's comfortable, that fits. Get something that has enough padding in the thing that your nipples are not going to be all crazy looking at people. My nipples, one's up here, one's at the floor. They're craziness, you know? Boobs get crazy when you breastfeed. So you want to make sure that you have a little bit of coverage so that when you're wearing your shirts, if you leak, your bra's going to catch it. If you are cold, no one's going to know it. And that's why I like that bra the most. It gives you support, it doesn't hurt your back, and it just has the little click. You can pull out your boob, click it back up, you're easy, you're good to go. So that's super important. The pads, I don't know, I felt like they were a waste. Some people like them. It's kind of your own discretion. When you are nursing in the nighttime, with Phoenix, I would get up every 2 hours with him, sit him in the rocking chair. His crib was in our room because we lived in a tiny little 1-bedroom apartment when we had him. And I would sit in my rocking chair for, you know, forever at nighttime, rocking him, nursing him, and then getting him back to sleep, and wait till he fell asleep, put him back in his crib, he'd wake up, I'd have to rock him back to sleep. I was exhausted. I would get like maybe 1 to 2 hours of sleep a night, and I literally was so tired. It was like the most exhausting moment of my life, that first like 6 months. I was so tired. Bring the bassinet into your room so that you have it right next to your bed. Put your baby right next to you so that you don't have to worry about, I feel like when you are worried about listening to them, you won't sleep. So get good sleep while you can. So I have the babies with Lily, I had her right next to me so that if I hear her, I can get right up. So instead of sitting up in your rocking chair where your back's killing you and you're all uncomfortable and you can't fall asleep because you're like this, lie down with your baby. Get back into bed, have them on the opposite side of your hubby in case they're crazy sleepers. Luckily, Jay sleeps in the same position pretty much the whole entire night, but make it so that you're far enough back so that you're not off the, you know, they're not close to the bed. And then we have a king size bed. We actually flipped it around. Luckily, we're both pretty short, so we don't have to worry about our feet dangling off the edge. I'm only 5'2". So ours is actually wider. So it's like super duper wide. So we have tons of room in our bed. So here's what's gonna help you get some sleep. You're going to lie down with your baby and do it in the, I don't know what this position is called, but basically you're gonna lie on your side. Whatever side you need to feed on is what side you're gonna lie on. Your boob is gonna be right there. They're gonna be lying on their side. Put your arm underneath your pillow. Put your head on your pillow and have your baby far enough away from the pillow. Far enough, don't put any blankets near their face in case you do nod off. And then their head's right by your boob. It's seriously so much more comfortable. At least you're feeling physically like you're getting a little bit of rest. You don't have to sit up, your back's not gonna kill you. It's just so tiring sitting up, and I feel like it is. It's just tiring having to sit up and like sit there and rock. So lie down, you'll get some rest, your body will feel better, you won't be all achy, and then as soon as they fall back asleep or they're done, put them back into their bassinet right next to you. It's so much easier and it's so much better. I felt like with Lily, I was like barely tired. I got so much more rest doing it that way. I wish I would have done that with Phoenix, because with Phoenix, I was so tired all the time. I was exhausted. I just felt like all I did was just sit up all night in that rocking chair. And because they're lying down, they fall asleep so much quicker. When I had to sit with Phoenix and hold him and rock him, he would stay up forever and it took so long, and I would like literally get like 10 or 15 minutes of sleep before the next feeding because it would take him that long to get him back to sleep. Whereas with Lily, she nursed for 20 minutes or however long she nursed for, she'd fall right asleep because she was super comfy. I was comfy. They know when you're tired or when you're stressed or whatever. When you feel relaxed, they'll be relaxed too and they'll fall asleep. She passes right out and then I just transfer her right back in. So that's what worked for me with Lily, and I tell you what, it'll make you feel so much better. At the end of the day, you want to get as much rest as you possibly can. So that is a humongous tip for me that I wish I would have known with Phoenix. And I hope that you guys take my advice because it's so much easier. It is so much, you just get so much more rest that way. As far as pumps go, so I got a manual pump and it was like 40 bucks or something like that. And I thought, yeah, I'll get a pump in case I ever need to pump or whatever. It took like an hour to get like 1 ounce, and it was so exhausting. My hands started cramping up. I was frustrated. By the time I was done, he needed to nurse already. It was just such a waste of time, to be honest. If you're gonna plan on pumping, now I ended up just never pumping at all after that because I was like, forget that, I am not doing that. And so I would just always nurse. I never really needed to pump because I'm always with them. I never had anyone babysit them, and if it, like, I think the first time we ever had him babysat, he was like 8 months old, and we only went to a movie and then we came right back. So I nursed him, I left, and then, so I never put myself in a position where I needed to. However, it can be tough because it's only you. It's all on you as far as feeding goes. So if you do feel like, you know what, maybe I want a little bit of a break, then pump, and then you can have anyone else feed them and you can get a little bit more rest. For me, I didn't get that, and I still don't do it with Lily because both of them, I didn't start them off with bottles. It was just always me. I did get an electric pump for when we went on our trip down to LA because I wanted to make sure that I did have extra milk in case while I was at the event or anything, in case Lily got really fussy, that Jay would at least have something to give her. And I figured, well, if she was like super fussy, maybe she would take it from someone else, which I actually pumped 2 bottles while I was down there for that one night that I went somewhere, and she did actually take them, but he said it took a while for her to like get used to it. She was like, what is this thing? This is not my mommy's boob. So I have the Medela electric pump. It comes with this backpack, which is super convenient. In here you can throw all of your whatever they're called, pump things that go on your boob, your plug, everything. And then in the bottom part here is the actual pump itself. So this one is nice because you can do both boobs at once. So, and it's got the little switch that you can make it faster or slower, or kind of like, I think, pulse more or something like that. On the sides you can keep your bottles or whatever you need to keep. And then in the back I have like my little bags and everything. And you can pump it right into the bottle and then, you know, just store it in the fridge or whatever you need to store it in. That is so much better. You can do both of them at the same time. Whenever you have a moment to do it, stick it on there, do them both, and you'll get like in 10 minutes, you'll get so much more. Like I think I can get 4 ounces from each in like 10 or 15 minutes, which was, I could never get that with a manual pump. So if you are thinking about pumping, if you do want that little bit of extra break, and you don't want it to be all you for nursing, but you obviously still want to give them breast milk, then get an electric one. Maybe put it on your registry, ask a family member if you can't afford it. I highly recommend getting an electric over a manual. The manual just didn't work for me. If you're like me, I really honestly, I use the manual pump like once, and then once or twice. And then I used the electric pump, I think once or twice. I never really used it. The kids just really, you know, weren't too interested with the bottle, and I never really wanted to leave them. So for me, it wasn't a big deal that it was all on me to feed them. For me, I wanted to do it all the time, so it wasn't a big deal. That's my opinion on pumps go. And then as far as like how long I did it for, I think it really depends on the baby. For Phoenix, I nursed him, I think he was about 16 months. Maybe he was I think he was about 16 or 17 months old when I stopped. I basically just wanted to get him weaned off before I had Lily because I didn't want him to like see her nursing and then she'd be like, this is mine, and he's like, that's mine, you know. I didn't want them fighting over my boob. For him, I stopped at about 16, I think it was 16 or 17 months. I'm pretty sure it was like in between there. So as far as Lily goes, she's almost 11 months. I'm still nursing her. She does sleep through the night now. So she's still nursing throughout the day and then before bed and then when she wakes up in the mornings. So when the time comes to wean her, then, you know, I will do that too. But definitely let me know if you guys want a separate video on weaning because that's a whole nother story in itself. So I hope this helped. I hope I haven't rambled too long. If there's specific questions that you have about breastfeeding that I didn't cover, let me know in the comments below and I will touch on those. I was just trying to think of like the main points, so I hope I covered most of the stuff. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope that you guys like these kind of videos. Let me know if you want to do more or want me to do more, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!